Hello?
Hey, is this?
Yes?
Hey, man, this is just from team. Looks like you might have responded to one of our posts about possibly improving your health and making a change in your life. Does that ring a bell, man?
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I've been working, I just respond back, and, I've been trying to watch the videos and everything,
Okay.
when I have a chance and everything. I don't know exactly how this all works. I've been trying to read everything and...
So what's the first thing you notice, like right off the jump?
That he's just kind of scattered.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't, not what you're thinking, I don't think.
No worries. So what sticks out to me is just the deflection of responsibility really early in the conversation. I haven't had a chance. I got pulled in a different direction. Like, there's no responsibility in his mind right now. So now I know what type of prospect he is, right? I know what's going on in his internal talk. So it's basically within the first 30 seconds, I'm like, cool, we're going to have to challenge this guy and essentially hold him accountable.
Yeah. And Ryan, what were the tells on that you just said?
So I'll play it back. Just listen though.
Because that's vital to hear.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that too.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this is just from team. Looks like you might have responded to one of our posts about possibly improving your health and making a change in your life. Does that ring a bell, man?
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I've been working, I just respond back, and, I've been trying to watch the videos and everything,
Okay.
when I have a chance and everything. I don't know exactly how this all works.
Did you hear it that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to watch the videos when I have a chance. It's like that's now.
Yeah.
It's nothing we need to challenge him on right now. It's 30 seconds into the conversation. We don't need to start slapping this guy up, obviously, but it's an indication as to what the internal self-talk is. So now we just get an idea of who they are as a person. Okay, no accountability, no responsibility. What do you mean trying to watch the video? What does that even mean?
Yeah, Ryan, one other personality type, that same thing where you have to prepare right away is I was just curious. I was looking for more info, looking for tips and tricks, looking for some tidbits. It's oh, we got a non-buyer. This guy's super passive non-buyer, right?
Yeah.
You got to be. Then you're like, okay, I got to challenge this guy hard now.
Yeah. Perfect.
Same.
So that's pretty nuanced and high level, but as you guys become more proficient, you can start sorting the type of prospect that you're talking to into buckets right off the rip. So you can kind of start understanding, is this more of is he leaned out? Is he passive? Is he non-buyer? Is he deflecting responsibility? Is he bought in, right? Is he taking accountability? These are things that are kind of running through my head as I'm opening a conversation. It's kind of like having the answers to a test before you're about to have the test. It's I'm getting it. I'm getting an idea. You're kind of watching film in lifetime.
Have a chance and everything. I don't know exactly how this all works. I've been trying to read everything and
Sure. No worries, man. I just had a few minutes to get back to you to see if we could, possibly help. Just curious, what was it about the post that, attracted your attention?
Well, just life has been for quite a time for me. So
Victim.
Pardon?
What do you mean?
I have had lots of money issues and addiction issues and all sorts of things. So it's lots for the past few years, nothing has gone right. So
Okay. Now
awesome.
to try to help your situation.
just work a lot.
What are you doing for work?
I build houses.
Are you a contractor or?
Yeah.
Do you work for somebody or do you have your own business?
I had my own business, but now I work for somebody.
Okay. And I guess what have you been doing to really try to change things other than just kind of sounds like you're burying yourself in work, huh?
Yeah, I got bills to pay, so that's kind of
Cool. So something that popped up to me, what are you doing to deal with this? He said, I'm working. Is that's another place to kind of challenge him.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? What do you mean you're dealing with this with work? And is there anything else that you're doing outside of work? Like, why do you feel like you're just working? Like, is that the only thing you're doing? Like, you can just, like, you know what I mean?
In
Get
the
really
moment-
clear.
Yeah. In the moment, I put a pin in it, and I was going to come back to it. Yeah.
And
It
just a
it
side
takes
note,
reps. It just takes reps.
side note too is typically in my experience, like putting a pin in something and trying to revisit it is just more difficult than having the conversation at the time. That's just in my experience. Like, can be useful.
Agreed.
There is nuance there. Like, there's no black and white. But if something comes up, man, just talk about it right there. Like, it's going to be more powerful anyways, rather than trying to reintroduce something like, oh, and you mentioned earlier, you mentioned this. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, man, just have the conversation right now.
Well, I mean, I guess like what's kind of, I mean, is there anything else that's really preventing you from doing anything, even when you're outside of work, to kind of change your situation?
Like I'm not sure like what's really preventing me. So I just kind of the same story over and over and over again.
Cool. So same thing, right? I'm not sure what's really preventing me. Well, something has to be, because you're in the same spot still. Like, it's just something's preventing you. So like, if you really thought about it, man, and we're just like, I'm just here to help, just here to understand. So it's good to kind of mix in a bit of challenging with a bit more of like empathetic language as well, rather than just coming off like challenge super hard. It's like, well, something's preventing you, man. Like, what do you think it is? Just see if we could help, just so I understand what's really going on here, man. Same thing. It's just the same cycle over and over and over. Probe right away. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Over and over and over. What do you think's causing that? How long has that been going on?
Kind of deal.
Well, has something, you know, because you did do something different, man. You reached out to us. So what actually kind of shifted to have you, you know, looking into something now compared to like, you know, the last few years?
Well, I just want to succeed in life, and maybe one day, I want more people in my life as well. So like, I don't have very many friends and whatnot. So like, it's willing to listen and willing to try really like anything. So.
And how is that like? How is that impacting you? Not having people around and that kind of stuff.
It's like negative. I do it.
Cool. So listening back, what did you notice anything with that question there?
No.
Okay, no problem. So this brings up a really good point. Again, it's quite nuanced, but our impact question ideally needs to be something around a problem that we can solve.
Oh yeah.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
How is it impacting you not having friends? It's like, hey man, we don't teach people how to get friends, right? Like, maybe in like a 10th order consequence, you get confident, you get jacked, pick up chicks, now you have a bunch of friends, sure, whatever. But it should be directly correlated to something that we solve, right? Does that make sense? Like a problem,
100%.
like a direct, concise problem that we can directly help with. How is dealing with that impacting you?
Yeah.
What are the effects of that? The stress, the energy, the anxiety, the depression, the confidence issues. Not like an external, you know, fractional problem or an impact. Yeah.
Myself though, like
What do you mean you do it yourself?
like I isolate myself a little bit. Like I know that, but because I don't like making my problems other people's problems at the same time.
So you're okay. So you just don't want to put it on other people.
No, yeah, and it just seems like I have terrible luck, so I try not to be too negative. And
Dude, someone like this, personally, like, man, this guy's in the gutter. This could be a useful time to just have an actual perspective reframe with him as well. Hey, man, Could I just pause you there? Could I share a perspective with you really quick? Are you open to seeing things from a different angle? Or could I share a perspective with you? Or another lead in is, could I say something without you getting upset with me? Those are like 3 different ways to say whatever the you want, pretty much. Right? Like even in your personal life, you can say that. Could I say something without you getting upset with me? It's like, yeah, it's like, right? Say whatever you want. But in this case, it's like, hey man, let me just time out there. Are you open to me just sharing a bit of a perspective with you, or maybe a new perspective on that? He's like, yeah, go ahead. And then we can go into the conversation about the accountability and the responsibility, right? And you can just, again, explicitly let him know, hey man, we've been on the phone for about 4 or 5 minutes here. I've noticed in a lot of the language that there's a external blaming, seemingly an external blaming of responsibility on things outside of your control, right? Now, my concern with that, so that's another big thing. My concern for you is this. It's not, hey, why are you doing that? Here's why it's bad, right? My concern for you, if that's happening, is these things, right? My concern for you is that if we're deflecting problems, we're putting responsibility outside of ourselves, we're not putting ourselves in an actual position to do something about it. Because if it's not in our control, why would we change it? And you know, does that make sense? He's like, yeah, it does. So what do you feel like you need to do moving forward so that you can start taking responsibility, holding yourself accountable, so you can actually make some changes here? It's like, I need to take responsibility. It's like, are you sure? Yes. Why do that now? Why not just keep going down the road that you've been going down? Because you could, man. It's like, no, I need to, for these reasons, right? And that's like just injecting like leadership into him, especially someone like this, man. This dude's like begging to be led. Like he's like, someone help me, someone help me, someone help me type of thing, right? So in this environment, it kind of needs to be a bit like, hey, daddy's home. Like, you know, we're going in this direction. Like dad's coming home with smokes from the shop, and he's coming home with a bottle of whiskey, and like, this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it type of thing. And he's like, cool, let's do that. Right? Just really, really needs to be led. Does that make sense as far as the perspective reframe though, and kind of the ways to lead into that?
Yeah, I do that. Not exactly
Cool.
the way you do. I do get into that. Like
Awesome.
in a couple minutes
Super.
or so.
Super gangster. Perfect. Yeah. So that's a really good way. Just be careful as you're going into different reframes. I would always recommend coming from a place of like, my concern for you is.
I didn't say that, which I'll integrate in. I did ask permission. I was like, hey man, can I challenge you on something here?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. There's lots of different ways to do it, right? Lots of different ways to do it. That's awesome.
Be positive as best as I can. It's been a tough time.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, could you give me an example? Like, the terrible luck. Like, what does that like look like when it kind of shows up?
Well, like in the last year, like I've basically lost my business. Trying to get out of debt. Just a lot of things have gone wrong, and it's like
Another good reframe here too, guys, is it's like, can I share something with you that a mentor shared with me a while back? And he's like, yeah. And to even take that to another level, man, when I sold, I used to fucking say that and just plug in the influencer. Man, can I share something with you that you shared with me when I joined the team? Right? It just really carries a weight to it. They're like, oh yeah, tell me something that I told you. Yeah, hell yeah. Doesn't matter who it is, right? Anyways, it's like, could I share something with you, man, that you shared with me when I first joined the team, or that he shared with me a while back? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, have you ever heard the saying, like, it's not your fault, but it is your problem? And it's like, what that means is like, yeah, maybe it's not your fault that you've been dealt a bad hand, you've had bad luck, and things just seemingly aren't kind of breaking your way, man. Like, that's fine. It's not your fault, but like, it damn sure is your problem. And if it's your problem, whose responsibility is it to fix it, right? Like if you're walking across the street with your dog and your dog gets hit by a car and the guy was speeding and ran a stop sign, it's not your fault by any means. You were doing what was correct, right? It's not your fault, but it's your problem. Now your dog's dead. Like, you don't need to say that in such blunt terms, but you can say something similar, right?
Oh God.
Something similar. Not your fault, but it is your problem. If it is your problem, whose responsibility is it to fix it? that just completely obliterates the whole victim mindset.
Yeah.
Because it almost like serves a logical and emotional bridge for them. Like at the same time, they're like, that logically and emotionally makes sense, but it's my responsibility. It's kind of like, hey man, I'm on your team. Like nobody's pointing the finger here. It's not your fault, but like it damn sure is your problem. If it's your problem, whose responsibility is it to fix it? It's mine.
Okay.
Why? Because of this, you know. Another cheat code in sales is why or why not. Directly coming off the back end of like a binary question. Binary question meaning like it's a yes or no answer. Coming off the back end of a yes or no answer, why or why not? Get them to really cement the position.
Savage.
Yeah. Right? It's my responsibility. Why? Oh, because of this, and this. So how much longer do you want to continue on not taking responsibility for where you are in your actions? It's like, no, not any longer. What happens if you do? Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I try and be too nice on calls, because I had a guy earlier who was he lost business, everything, and then he set up everything was going shit apart from his business, and I was like, oh yeah, but you've still got your business, rather than trying to be like what you said there.
For sure. So that brings up a really good point too, is like we don't want to coddle people. We don't want to lessen the pain, and it's a very intuitive part of human nature, right? Like we're all good dudes here. Like I would venture to say none of us are like, we're not mean people, but because of that, because we're actually good people, like human nature is, it triggers in us like, oh, someone's in pain, I want to make them feel better. So it can be tough to do that. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. But if someone comes in with a problem, like, hey dude, I have a problem, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. They're like, oh, maybe it's not that bad.
Okay.
Maybe he's right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all in my head. Versus like, yeah, because that's a problem. What are you gonna do about it?
So basically, you're telling us kick a guy when he's down still, and keep kicking him.
Yeah. It's definitely like, put the knife in, twist it, put vinegar in it. It's just like.
That's what he said the other day. It was like, put the knife in and let them twist it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it as well. I mean, realistically, they put the knife in, they twist it, they put the salt in. Like, we're just asking questions. We're not doing anything through force.
Yeah.
Like, you can just design questions where you kind of know the answer. That's when you start getting really, really, really good at sales. It's like, there's an outcome that I want. Here's where we are. I'm going to build a maze with my words so that we can inevitably end up at that outcome. That's all that sales really is. You just kind of like, and the whole time they're like, I'm in a maze. And then they just end up at the outcome. And they're like, holy we're like, yeah, I mean, saw that coming 10 minutes ago. That's where we were going. Those are the questions we were asking. Yeah.
Can never catch up, no matter how hard So I'm a little bit flustered, like answering these questions.
Yeah. Well, what we do, man, is we help men figure out what's going on, and we challenge them to make changes in their life. So if this keeps going on for you, man, like, just respectfully.
So what had you say that? I'm curious.
The men part, like what we do?
Yeah.
I think it was because earlier he had said he's not sure what the process is all about and what, like, that kind of thing. So I just kind of wanted to see that there was a light at the end of the tunnel when I was preparing to be like consequences, and I didn't want to just be like, I didn't want it because I could feel him be like, oh, like, I don't know how to answer these questions, and I'm like, what happens if you never do anything?
Yeah.
What are the ramifications?
I got you.
Yeah. So.
No, that's fair.
I'm going to give him some sugar with the medicine a little bit. Like,
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we, like, again, use your intuition, whatever you need to say. Oftentimes we can like justify why we're saying things or what we're about to say to make ourselves feel better, which is natural. But it's understandable if we don't want to just feel like we're just beating the to this guy on an outbound call. All good, right? So yeah, makes sense.
Having said that, what do you think about that though?
So I understand why you did that. That's cool. One of the reasons I asked as well is, like, a big thing in sales is, well, just life, but also in, like, certainly in sales, is if I ask a question like, why did you do X, Y, or why did you do X, and you don't know why you did that, like that's not good. Like, regardless of if you're doing most optimal or least optimal things, like there should be a reason behind why you're doing what you're doing, right? Otherwise you're just not playing chess. Like it should be like, cool, like thought process, right? Like just your thought process. What had you go left instead of right? Oh, I went left because of this, this, and this. No, I could see that. Makes sense. There's no like black or white, right or wrong. It's just when it's like, why'd you go left? It's like, oh, I don't know. I just went left. It's like, oh, not good. But in this case, in my experience, the best way, so like that kind of phrase, the best way to show, the best way to get that across to them is to just do it, right? We help men by challenging them and holding them to a high standard. So like we can just do that in a conversation, and now we're doing, you know, what we just said. Instead of telling him, here's what I do, or here's what we do, just do it. It's kind of the same thing with tonality. It's like, insert curious tonality. It's like, well, just be curious. Tonality is taken care of. Like just actually genuinely be curious, or like insert empathetic tonality. It's like, well, just have compassion for the guy. It'll come through in your voice.
Solid.
Just acting it out. Yeah, exactly.
Solid. Yeah.
If you don't do anything, what's going to change?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, no, like lean into it just a little bit. Like seriously, like what happens if you don't do anything about this?
Good job.
Just be in the same position I am in right now, and probably just it's all negative from here, and I don't, so like nothing good will come out of
and like
how I am.
And then if I can just, is it okay if I just challenge you a little bit, man?
Okay.
Whose responsibility is it to change your situation?
Dope.
Myself.
Okay. And do you want that to happen?
Yes.
Okay. But why now though? Like why not just put it off? You know, so many guys, they say they want to do it and then they just keep kicking the can down the road. So like, what about now is important to you?
I don't know why now is so important. It's just, I'm just sick of being sick.
So yeah, really good job, man. Sequencing's cool, dope, awesome. Sometimes I also like to kind of just lean out as well, because it's fine if it's not. You can stay where you are. It's totally cool.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to change.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like push. It's like press. Like put your hands up. Hey, man, stay where you are. You don't have to make a change. You can keep going the exact way that you're going right now.
Yeah.
Can't hear you. It looks like you're talking, but
yeah, it's all right. I'm trying to mime. Are we okay to challenge people like that on calls in that hard? I didn't think we were supposed to be like consequencing a bit, because if so, it's so much easier to get the pain out of them, isn't it?
Yeah, like this is pretty far on an outbound call. I think again, there's no black and white. With this guy specifically, I think I think it called
Needed
for it.
to.
Yeah,
fine. Okay.
This dude's in shambles. But all things equal, it's a little bit early typically. But like this guy needs Jesus, bro. Like, you know, like this guy needs some help. He needs some milk. So yeah, we can pull this out and do that. That's cool. Again, intuition, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like I just don't want to be like, yeah, it's all good, and then we're all out there just dropping consequence questions 6 minutes into calls and it's just like, yo, that's crazy. So
yeah, like one reason why I'm doing that too is because like there was that guy was like the first dude I set yesterday who was like a mess, kind of like this, and I got milk toast review. Like I was like, oh dude, like this guy is like super unmotivated and all this stuff. So I just kind of
no, like it's fine. I think this situation called for it, and when it calls for it, just do your job, and it doesn't matter, because if we don't challenge them here, they're not going to show up to the call anyways. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
and you're putting a lot of doubt into his mind as well now.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. He's just like, dude, this 10-minute call is gonna, you know, his head's spinning. He's like, holy, like what just happened? Like Jesus.
He's probably left the call and still crying.
Yeah, he's probably like, Yeah, he's probably like, oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck.
Them wankers.
Yeah, exactly.
Tired and always in a slump, like always down, always the same grind every day. Go to work, go home.
Yeah. Well, making a change isn't easy. You know, it takes commitment. So would you say that you're actually serious about like finding a way to improve your situation?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you need someone in your court to kind of help you along the way?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, man. So like, based on the discussion that we've had up to this point, like, I think what we do might work for you, man, mainly because you do need support. You've been stuck in the same position for several years right now, but at the same time, you do want to make a change. And so what we could do, man, is we could schedule a game plan call with one of our senior coaches. And on that call, you create a game plan on what you need to do to get from where you are now, which is where you've been, and see where you want to go. So we call that the summit. So you climb the mountain, and it's a process, and how a Sherpa, somebody can help guide you along the way, so you have support to get to where you want to go. Do you think that a call like that could possibly help you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm willing to. I'm not very good at this talking about like what's going on in my life and everything, so I feel like I should try to get a little bit better at it.
Totally normal, man.
And accept.
Totally normal.
Try to accept some.
Yeah, so really good, man. Like super solid. The building blocks are there. Kudos, man. Crushing it. Awesome. Just those little kind of softeners, like totally normal. It's just like those tiny little things where it just like lessens the tension a little bit. We should have a bit of tension there. It should be, just a little bit throughout the chat where it's just like, there's a little bit of that undertone of energy type of thing. Another thing that you guys can use is just like a tool at whenever it calls for it in like a challenge is like, cause like, what's the alternative? Like, what's the alternative, man? Like if they're kind of whining, right? If it's like, you find them whining about something, it's like, well, what's the alternative? Realistically, just be real with me. It's like, yeah, exactly. Type of thing. But otherwise, it was really good. Tied in the call. That was solid, man. Super good. It's a good call.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want more training like this inside of a community of more appointment setters in a bite-sized manner where you're going to be able to get all the information, you could head over to our community called Setter Central.
It's completely free. We'll drop the link below. There's 6 free training portals for you guys to dive into. So head over to settercentral.co if you have any value from this. Otherwise, keep crushing it. Peace.